Hi there, it's Paul in Perth here again, and I want to do one today that comes up every now and again on a BL Mazda 3, and that's the check engine light comes on, you run it over a scanner, and it turns out that you've got a bad oxygen sensor. So I want to show you, I want to talk a bit about oxygen sensors, and I also want to show you how to change them. So this is what they actually are. So they come in a pre-cat and a post-cat, and I'll show you those in a second, but before I show you this car, I want to give you a bit of a history of the car so that you can understand what's going on here. This car has had another car smashed through the front of it. It's bent the chassis rails. I've actually cut the front of that one off, but it's significantly bent this chassis rail. And the reason I'm telling you that is I'm about to show you where the oxygen sensors are, and it's going to look different to your car, and I want you to understand why. So if you come a little bit closer, I want to show you what happened to this particular car. This is half of the engine mount. This is the other half of the engine mount. So what that means is, and you can actually see way back to here, the chassis rail has deformed from right back there. So this chassis rail has bent out, the engine has fallen forward, and as a result, it's in an unnatural position. However, for the purpose of this video, this is the perfect car to show you about oxygen sensors, because as a side effect of that, the oxygen sensors are actually very easy to see. So if you want to come in, I'll show you where your O2 sensors are. Now, obviously, as I said, yours is going to look different. You're going to have a much smaller gap because your engine is going to be in the normal position. But that's your pre-cat sensor there. And if you look back through there, you might have to take the camera a little bit to the right, or can you, oh yeah, you can see it from there. That's the post-cat. So just to talk this through, pre-catalytic oxygen sensor, that is the catalytic converter itself, and that is the post-catalytic converter. So what's happening is very, very hot exhaust gas is coming out of the engine here. It is getting temperature sensed here. It is having the noxious gases converted to less noxious gases here, and then it's having its temperature sensed again. The engine control module then has a mathematical map where it goes, oh, I've got either too much or too little oxygen for the optimum gas mixture. Therefore, I need to add or reduce the amount of oxygen to have the perfect mix, okay? So the purpose of these is actually pollution control. And if you go way back to cars from the 50s and 60s and even 70s, they didn't have them, okay? Right, so let's get into it. When that check engine light comes on and the error message comes up, it's either going to say bank 1 sensor 1 or bank 1 sensor 2. The pre-cat is bank 1 sensor 1, the post-cat is bank 1 sensor 2. You might then be asking, well, why does it even talk about bank 1? The answer is, if you've got a V8 engine, you've got two banks, because you've got a left-hand bank and a right-hand bank. So that would be bank 1 and bank 2. For straight 4 engines, they only have one exhaust manifold. That means they only have one bank. So that's where that comes from. The other thing to note is, if you take your car to a shop, they're going to tell you to replace both sensors. The reason is, that's the safe thing to do. If you fix both of them, the problem is fixed. And I don't disagree with that. When you are a home mechanic and maybe you're a bit tight on for money and you want to try and save a bit of money and your time is not so important, 90% of the time, the problem is the pre-cat oxygen sensor, because the temperature that sensor works at, this one here, oh sorry, no, it's this one here is the pre-cat. The temperature this one works at is significantly higher than the temperature that this one works at. And because the temperature is higher, they just fail earlier. So most of the time, the one that fails is the pre-cat. Now, let's talk about how you get them out. So this is just a generic kit that I bought off eBay. It's called an oxygen sensor removal kit. And it has a variety of different tools to remove an oxygen sensor. You can just, because obviously, oh sorry, you're coming at it this way. So you can just get at them like that. However, I've done a lot of these Mazda 3s, and because it's tight, where you're working is tight against the firewall, you won't actually be able to get those long sockets in. You'll need to use one of these offset sockets, and the one that fits the, is this the one? Yeah, this is the one that fits. The one that fits the BL Mazda 3, which is also the same as the BK by the way, is the 7/8 of an inch, which is 22mm, is the perfect fit to fit on to there. So that's the look we're going for, okay? That's how we're gonna do it. So let's put that theory into practice and do it. So what I'm gonna do behind the engine, I'll talk through it now. I'm gonna slip that over the wire. I'm gonna slip that down onto the hex nut. I'm then gonna put my, my spanner on, and I'm gonna turn it. So that's what we're gonna do back there. This is a 3/8 of an inch hole, but this is a 1/2 inch drive, and I've got an adapter here. The reason I've done that is I actually just need the longer length, and the reason I need the longer length is because these sensors get hot then cold and hot then cold, they often weld themselves onto the exhaust, and you actually need to put a fair bit of crank onto them to get them to crack. I'll give you a little tip. Before this video started, I've cracked that one just to make sure it wasn't embarrassing on camera. You may find that you actually need to put a fair bit of force into getting the first crack. Once you've got it, the rest will be easy. So let's do the work. I'll let the cameraman work out where he needs to be, but I'll work out first where I need to be. So yeah, you want to maybe shoot through there. So firstly, I'm going to put the hole over the wire. Secondly, I'm going to roll it down so that it's actually sitting on the hex. And then I'm going to find a place where I can get this in. And I'm going to turn, okay? I'll find somewhere else. Has that got it? Yeah, that's got it. Okay, good. Now that once you've got it turned the first bit, you'll find it actually turns quite easily. It's just that first crack. So now I need to be able to turn it properly. So I'm going to disconnect the wire. I'm going to run it out of this little holder here, and then I can just turn it. And there we go, we're out. And you can see that one's obviously worn, so it's discolored. When you get them brand new, this will be like a copper color. Getting the lower one is exactly the same. So you would just put that on over the wire, run it down to there, and I'm not going to do it because you get the idea, but I would then put my my spanner into there and I'd turn it and get it out, okay? So if you want to do it yourself, this is quite a straightforward job. Obviously I've had an easy run because I've got a lot of space when, oh, sorry, I'm turning the wrong way, that's the problem. When you do it on your BL, it's the same theory as everything you've seen here. You're just going to be working in a tighter space, okay? But it is actually relatively straightforward. Now, so that's how you do it, okay? Now, I've helped you and I need you to help me. There's 3 things I need you to do for me. 1, hit that like button. Secondly, subscribe if you haven't already. Thirdly, and the one I love the most, please comment, say something nice if I've helped you. Don't say anything nice if I haven't. And tell me what country you're from. I've traveled the world, I've met lots of different cultures. The guy shooting this film at the moment, he's from the Czech Republic. I love having people from other countries. So tell me where you're from and tell me what's going on in your life and, you know, share the love, all right? Thanks from Paul in Perth. I'll see you later.